Hello and welcome to this session. I'm Raquel Zagullo, Product Manager of Elastic Security. Today, we are going to dive into Elastic Security, our AI-driven security platform that goes beyond the endpoint. Because in a world where we know already that with the endpoint data is not enough to fight cyber threats, we're focusing now on XDR so that we can correlate insights coming from identity, network, or even cloud, as well as the endpoint, of course. So in this session, what we will specifically look at is going to be how to get XDR outcomes by leveraging the data coming from Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, specifically using Microsoft XDR Suite, and how to use the full potential of Elastic Security while we have this data ingested into Elastic. So I would also like to mention, before we dive into the whole analysis of the alerts and so, that we have our own endpoint offering, which is Elastic Defend, that allows you to fight cyber threats as a unique solution, but also in a hybrid environment where it might be the case that Microsoft Defender for Endpoint is not able to reach, or there are some limitations in terms of coverage. Let's move into our analysis, and in order to analyze the data, we need to go first ingest it into Elastic, of course. So what you're seeing now is our integration suite where we can start filtering by Microsoft Defender. And in this case, you will see different solutions. That's why we have a standalone one that it's only covers endpoint data, but you will get the same information if you enable Microsoft Defender XDR. So we recommend you to use this one, which is newer, and it could contain as well data from other products like Microsoft Defender for Cloud and so on. So if we add Microsoft Defender XDR, there are going to be like different ways to deploy through agent-based, which requires Elastic Agent to be deployed in your environment to behave as a collector, where it collects the data coming from this XDR integration or XDR data and send it to Elastic Security. But if you don't want to install an Elastic Agent in your environment, something that we understand as well, based on your own requirements, the option is being agentless. So you don't need to deploy anything, and you just need to type the API credentials and of course select the information that you would like to send to Elastic Security. So once we have the information there, we can start reviewing different dashboards that belong to this integration. In case I want to see alerts, I can see that there have been some alerts in the last 4 hours. Maybe I'm interested in seeing if there are any incidents as well. So seems that there are some. So as you can see, dashboards are part of this menu, so you can navigate easily and you don't have to switch to the previous view. So if we want to go in depth to review those alerts, let's do that. So in order to do that, as we mentioned, through this Microsoft XDR integration, we can filter by M365 Defender and select the product that we're interested in. In this case, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. So we're going to review only alerts coming from Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And that way we reduce the noise and we can focus in our main goal for this video. So if I start reviewing this, looks like there has been a multi-stage incident, so there could be different phases, but everything seems to come from PowerShell. So seems like there has been some Windows Defender tampering. If I want to review, for example, who was the one that triggered the process that triggered this alert, we will see that it's PowerShell. So looks that there could be a script that is running and it's trying to do some malicious stuff. So we can go to our analyzer preview and click there and open it and start reviewing the parent and children and identify malicious processes. So I have it open in another tab. So let me change it and we can go over that analysis. And looks like, yeah, everything is being executed through a command prompt and then through PowerShell, where there are like 43 alerts. Let's go back to our main view of the alerts and let's investigate what can we do next. One of the things that I will do will be adding this into a timeline. So at the end, if I want to generate this and see what's going on, I can change the timeline if I'm interested in and see, like, I want to see it if this is happening from a long period of time. For example, I will update this and see what's going on. Maybe I'm interested in knowing what happening into this endpoint. And if there has been, and looks like there has been a lot of attempts to tamper or to do tampering. At the end, if we check the host name, looks like there is only one being compromised. So at least seems that the attacker was not able to continue the attack after this, because maybe there has been some anti-tampering protection or so. I can create a timeline and save it like demo. I can keep adding more details and investigate if there are any other malicious processes, or we saw who launched this CMD, if it's due to a vulnerability, and so. But one of the things that we could do is using a super cool feature that is attack discovery that Elastic provides. So in that way, attack discovery is going to use AI, and it's going to be able to identify not only the threat coming from Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, but analyze the incident as a whole from multiple sources. So at the end, following this XDR approach to the end, from analyzing the patient zero until what is the last step of that we can see it graphically in this discovery, where it shows where are the steps from the MITRE attack framework that the attacker was able to succeed. So in this case, we have seen that it's having PowerShell and the speed and so maybe what I can do next is to start doing some threat hunting. But before doing that, I would like to mention that these discoveries can be automatically scheduled so that you don't have to run this manually. So if we can see there has been multiple attempts, what it can do is we schedule this to run every hour. It can start adding new alerts to an existing discovery or create a new one, as we see that there are some that are not even related. We can also add some actions like creating a case, or we can do that manually as well, or send a notification to Teams, to Slack, and so. So if we are speaking of cases is our incident management tool. So what we can do is create a new case where we just call it demo, and we can add some details like there that says demo as well. So then we can continue tracking all the investigation or all the updates for that specific incident. So as we can see, there are 2 alerts. The discovery was added there, but we can add additional notes. I can assign it to someone, change the severity. So at the end, it's more an incident management tool where all your colleagues can participate and start adding updates based on the investigation. So if we go back to our attack discovery, what we can do as well is like, okay, I know what is happening, what can I do next? We have AI assistant that can be easily accessible through here, but also at any time, if you have questions about a specific alert, you can always ask the AI assistant for that. So if we go to our attack discovery, as I mentioned, we can launch it through there and start asking who should be the right person to contact. So one thing that I would like to emphasize is that we have our Elastic Managed LLM. In this case, I'm interested in this Defender Tampering or evasion. I can ask who is the right person to contact with respect to that incident. And let's see what AI can tell us in terms of the right person. So it's analyzing our incident, and in few seconds, it's going to tell me who should be the right person to contact. One of the things that we can do as well, apart from getting this information, is asking about response actions, for example. That will be another step that I will do. But in this case, the primary contact will be Sarah Johnson, which is the incident response manager. But as there are different escalation contacts, we can always go to somewhere else if, for example, the first one doesn't reply back or so. So AI is telling me all this information thanks to our knowledge base. So how AI was able to get that? Very easy, because we have set up our knowledge base. So in there, we have set with Elastic, which is what are the different departments that my company has and so, and who is responsible of each department. This is something that we can use or do. As we mentioned, we can do some threat hunting. So imagine that I'm interested in this bit and I want to know if there's something else going on with that. What I can do is just filter by process, fit, and just copy that. I can refresh that and I can see that there are multiple events associated to it. There has been some deletion and creation of a file, and so. But at the end, seems that what attack discovery shared with us was enough. While I'm doing threat hunting, another person or even the same one will do response against this attack. So what we will do is just opening one of the alerts or going to the endpoints and select the endpoint that we're interested in to take an action. And if we open an alert, we will click on respond. So in that way, we can send commands to this endpoint that was, in this case, compromised. And based on those commands, we can execute multiple scripts. Of course, we can isolate as well. But if we select run a script with the data that you or the scripts that you have in your Microsoft library, you will be able to respond against any type of threat because it's going to be dependent on what you include in the script, and those commands will be executed. As you can see, we can also isolate immediately here. With that, we have full coverage of the threat. So I just want to emphasize again that through Elastic, we are able to provide a complete answer and a complete threat mitigation, and considering all the sources and not only the one coming from Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, because as we know, attack discovery was able to identify the patient zero until the last step, analyzing alerts not only coming from Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you like it.